The free is not allowed
Okay.
here to create an account. Actually, we would have created the account with SonarCube and the JFrog Artifactory. So we pushed the build to Artifactory. Okay, binary storage tool. And the SonarCube, we check the vulnerabilities, security, and the maintainabilities. Basically, the code scan. Okay, both we will explain in the complete project. Okay, no worries on that. Clear? And even will explain the configuration as well. So that after all the tools completion, we will show the project flow which we are working on it, and also will tell end-to-end setup. We will show that. No worries on that. Okay, fine. Clear for everybody. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So Viresh Basana, you were asking on the Sonar Cube. So we will show that at the end. Okay, let's log into Jenkins. Let's continue with the remaining concept from Jenkins, that is shared libraries. Okay, so shared libraries are the reusable code. Okay, reusable code in the sense, suppose instead of keep on duplicating in the file, so we will maintain the shared libraries in the repository. Okay, so basically the shared libraries avoids the duplicated pipeline logic. Okay, and also we maintain everything in Groovy only. Let's log into Jenkins. So shared libraries are basically the reusable codes. Okay, credentials, password. Is my screen visible to everybody?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So so shared libraries are the reusable code, and it avoids the duplicated pipeline logic, and also it is easy to maintain. Okay, so we can change once and reflect everywhere. Okay, maintainability is easier to uh, change at once and reflect everywhere, right? And the consistency. Okay, all the pipelines follow the same standards. Okay, we will keep the shared library at once, and we call that library, and we maintain the consistency. Okay, and also for the security purpose. So for security purpose, sensitive logic centralized method, we use shared libraries. And also by using these shared libraries, so our Jenkins file will be clean way. Okay, means there is no like, what I can say, there is no less effort. Okay, so that's why we use the shared libraries. Okay, so basically it's easy to maintain, and they are basically the most common pipeline code. All are Groovy scripts only. So I will show my shared libraries so that I have created, and also this will help us to set up a CI/CD when from Jenkins. So we can also set up the CI/CD for complex projects. Suppose if you're in huge project, so we maintain one library called shared libraries, so where we define all Groovy codes. Okay, so in my project, in my account, I have my shared library. I'll go to my account here. Okay, so this is my project, right? So till this only we are working on it till yesterday, correct? Pipeline E to E. You were able to see my screen,
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
and these
Yes,
are
sir.
all rest of the project: sensor, Jenkins, and demo. These are all the rest of the projects that I was working on it. And here is my shared library. I have kept out of the repository. Here is my shared library. Okay, so this is basically so this shared libraries are the way to reuse common pipeline code. It is in terms of Groovy script. Okay, all the files should be in the Groovy script. Okay, and with the multiple Jenkins pipelines, instead of duplicating the same logic in every Jenkins file, we can maintain in the single shared library files. Okay, so if I go here, if I click on this, see the name itself is saying shared libraries. You can keep any name. Okay, the repository name I have kept it as shared library. Okay, make sure that you are calling the right shared library. The name of the library is this only. Okay, so inside this I have a folder called vars. Okay, and readme.md to read the repository. Okay, inside this, let's go inside the var folder. So inside this var folder, there are three Groovy scripts. Okay, so these three Groovy scripts, one is for build app, second one is for deploy app.groovy. All are in Groovy only, right? Build app.groovy, deploy app.groovy, hello.groovy. These three are the reusable codes. Suppose, suppose this shared library, I'm going to use this in pipeline E2E project, sensor project, and Jenkins project, and the demo project. For the common code that I've created as shared library. Now you are able to understand. The shared libraries are the reusable code which uses the or the way of reuse a common pipeline code which is in Groovy script across multiple Jenkins pipelines. Okay, so instead of duplicating the same logic in every Jenkins file. Okay, so this project is also having Jenkins file. This project is also having Jenkins file, and this project is also having Jenkins file. This also will be having Jenkins file. So all these four will be having the same logic. Suppose, can we call this single library into all these four? You were able to understand the logic.
Yes, sir.
So suppose if my shared library will be having, I'll go to inside the shared library, and if my shared library is having only these three codes, these three will be used. Suppose if all those four repository will be having a task of build app.groovy, deploy app, and hello.groovy. So is these three will be dependent in these four repository. In these four repository, can we define it in one folder called the naming convention that keep it as shared library? Correct, right? So that we can avoid the duplicating in calling in Jenkins file and configuring it in all four repositories. Not only these all four, we have 20 repositories, 20, 30 repositories. And one of the projects that I worked on, there are 105 repositories. We kept it in single shared library, and all 105 repositories we referred these kind of shared repository, shared library only. Getting my point? Clear about the shared
Yes, sir.
library?
Yes, sir.
So this is basically the reusable code where we can, instead of duplicating the Jenkins pipeline and again, we keep the shared library folder, and we call that shared library scripts in all the wherever we use Jenkins file, we can call it, and easy to maintainable, and and once changes, suppose as I told, change it once and replicate in everywhere means, suppose if you want to change this build app, so this is basically the Groovy, the simple script, Groovy script. Okay, and this is the deploy app. Okay, this will deploy an app, and this will print an hello. Okay, suppose if you want to change any code here, change it here at once. Okay, and reflect in all these four repositories, correct? change at once, and reflect in multiple or reflect in everywhere, right? So instead of changing in all the repositories, we can keep a single maintainable reusable code called shared library. Getting my point? Clear for everybody?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions and any doubts on this? Let's build one shared using shared library, and also we configure the post build actions in Jenkins. Okay. So what I will do, I will to manage Jenkins here.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, let's update the Jenkins IP address here. Control V, click save. Okay, now this Jenkins is up to date, and we need to run the. Let's configure this agent. Go to downloads, open the file, git bash here. Let's log into SSH-I Jenkins master into followed by the server. Okay, I have logged in, and then I'm gonna run these commands. So already the agent.jar is downloaded. Let's do ls. We delete all cache, remoting tools, workspace. Okay, delete everything and keep only agent.jar and run only this command. Okay, and now it is connected. Let's log in one more terminal. Let's refresh this. Now we had made agent is online, right? Let's log into one more terminal again. Okay, SSH I Jenkins master Ubuntu is the user followed by the IP address. Okay, so we should not close this terminal. So once we got this now, we should not close it, right? So Okay, now we logged into the server now. Okay, just a minute, please. Sorry. Okay, so let's configure the Jenkins library now. Let's create one pipeline for the library configuration. Click on the new item here. Okay, this explanation is clear, right? This shared library, there are three scripts, right? Vars. So there are three Groovy script: build app, deploy app, and to print and hello. There are three Groovy that we will call that shared library, and let's see what is the output that we get it. Okay, if you click on this, this is completely in Groovy. There are lengthy of build, there are lengthy of the Groovy scripts will be in the shared library. So this is for the simple build app to print a message saying building an application. Okay. Okay, so to print this message, we are configuring in Groovy. Let me explain this one by one. Def call is the Groovy function to call something, right? What we are calling here with the brace opened, we are calling echo building an application to print a statement and close the function. Okay, and similarly for deploy an app, def call string env is equals to dev, means for the dev environment deploying an application with the dollar environment, this will print the message from pipeline and closed with function. Okay, this is a simple Groovy. And here also to print an hello world means to print a name, whatever the name that we you provide in the pipeline, so it will print with the name. Okay, suppose we can override this name, so we can provide any name in the pipeline that we configured. Okay, now let's configure. There are three files, so we can configure the three stages from Jenkins, and let's see how we can configure it. Okay, now what I will do, I will create a pipeline called shared library. Okay, so I will give the same name for the project as well. Click on the pipeline, click OK. So this will redirect to the configure page of pipeline. Let's keep the pipeline script itself, because when we are configuring initially, we need to be tested in the pipeline itself. Okay, now let's write one by one. Okay, I'm gonna call that library. So how do I call? To call this library, I'll use library with, what is my library name, what is my library name here, shared library. Okay,
Shared
copy
library.
this, come to Jenkins, and within a single quote you call it with shared library. Okay, and space hyphen. So here, okay, open a brace. Agent, what is our agent? What is our agent?
Linux Git.
Linux Git.
So Linux Git is our agent, right? So agent, I'm gonna define label. Make sure that when you're typing, uh, you might make a spelling mistake. Make sure that you are writing a right string here. Okay. Make sure double show
Agent spellings.
agent. Yes. Correct. Agent, and let's keep the timestamps option as well, and options timestamps. Okay, let's run it with timestamps. Okay, and with environment. Okay, we'll directly start with stages. Okay, also let's define the environment variable. Okay, environment should be in the brace or outside the brace. Okay, let's start the environment here. Okay, environment. So deploy environment is equals to, what is our environment? Dev, right? Dev environment to be deployed, and close this environment and start with stages. Okay, open a brace, and the very first stage, the very first stage is to build, right? Let's call only two functions as of now: stage, build within a single quote, build, and in the steps provide with the library the command. In the steps we can call this way build app. That's it. Okay, by calling this function. Okay, that will print, it will call this function under wires and build app.groovy and prints a message. Okay, and similarly steps will be closed here and stage will be closed here. Okay, now let's go to the second stage. Okay, stage will be deployed within a single quote, right? Open a brace. Okay, and here in the steps, open a brace. In the steps, deploy app with the name deploy env. Remember that we have defined this variable above, right? And close the steps. And again, one more stage if we want to create stage name, uh, to print and hello. Let's give the steps. I'm gonna call with hello in the name index. Okay, let's see how it works. Because see this name we called in this name we called in here, right? But we have overriding this library. Okay, it should print this by calling this library. Okay, let's see how it works. Okay, string name, def call string name, and with the name of variable that we defined here. Let's see how it works. Okay, and there are three stages that I have created by making use of library. Okay, here I have called the library here and started with the pipeline. Before starting a pipeline, we need to call the library this way: @library, the library name followed by hyphen. So this will pull the library into the Jenkins workspace in the agent itself. That's why we have called this agent here. And then with the timestamp options and with environment means the variable deploy environment is dev, and started with the stages. The very first stage is build. So this function, this build app braces is there now. This will call the library of under var there is a library called file called build app.groovy. Okay, this calls the function and prints an output. Okay, similarly for the second stage, deploy app with the deploy an environment. So this env is equals to dev. Okay, it calls the function called vars and also have the app is built actually to this stage portions. Suppose if your pipeline get failed, how do we monitor it? How do we capture an error, right? So if the pipeline fails or success, we should get notified using post. Okay, so we call the post build actions. Okay, in the post we use if the pipeline success. Okay, print echo. If the pipeline success, what we need to print? Pipeline completed successfully. Correct. Similarly, close this success function. And similarly, if the pipeline is failure,
Yes, sir.
okay, if the pipeline failed, what we need to print? Pipeline failed only, no? And close the brace here for this, and close the post here, and close the pipeline here, right? You were able to understand this post
Yes,
build
sir.
actions. Post build means after the build completion, we call it as post build actions. This will completely checks the log of pipeline log and prints a message if the pipeline is success. Here it reads the function. If the pipeline is success, print this message. If the pipeline is failed, print this message. I will show both the trial. We'll do a trial and error now. Okay. So what I will do, I'll click on save. After configuring this is the Jenkins file configuration. Okay. Now, what else we need to do? We need to configure the library, right? Where we need to configure the library? Under manage Jenkins, we go under where? We go under system. Okay. So here we type library, control F. Make sure that we are doing a right thing now. Okay. Don't ask the questions when you're working alone. we need to configure this. Yesterday it happened same. We configured Maven and JDK path, right? Remember that when we are
Yes.
building the Maven project, we configured it in the same path. Similarly, whatever the configuration that you should do, you should do it in the system under manage Jenkins under system. Okay. Now I wanted to configure this library in the system only. Okay. Global global library or just type library. Here you can see global trusted pipeline libraries. Okay. So under this pipeline library, we need to provide the library name and the branch of the library. Okay. You go here. What is the default branch in shared library?
Main
Only
branch.
main branch only, na? Okay. That I have defined here in the system. I have defined the library name, which is shared library, and the default version of a shared library, and also retrieve method. Retrieve method is from the modern SCM. Okay, I'll be going for SCM section means source code management method. Okay, I will select Git here. I have selected Git and provide the repository URL. Okay, how we will provide? You go here, click on code, copy the HTTPS URL, come to Jenkins and copy here. Okay, do you see the difference here? Shared library.git. And once you generated a token for credentials, everywhere is same only. Select the credentials, click on save, and the library path you let it be default, and then click on save. Clear? Now you configured with the library. Now you configured
Yes.
library.
Yes, sir.
Correct, right? Now let's go to the shared library, the project that we created. Just click on build now. Let's see how it works. Okay. So the pipeline is running now. It will invoke the shared library from the GitLab. Okay. It is failed. Let's see what is the failure. Okay. It should happen. Okay. Go to console output and we should get triggered with, we should get failure, right? The post build actions. Let's check what is the failure. Do we see this pipeline is failed under the post build actions?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, let's see the logs first. Are we getting loading library of this with a shared library with the main branch? Means
Yes.
it is cloning this complete library into the Jenkins workspace, into the agent. Correct? Are we getting this with
Yes,
the
sir.
main? And what is the revision of that library? The revision of the library, let's see. If I click on the code under commits, what is the head dash ID? What is the head dash ID? Head dash ID will be F7B1, right? Go here. Are we seeing this F7B1?
Yes, sir.
So that we can conclude that Jenkins is cloning the shared library of the main branch, which is having a head hash ID of this. Okay, and the Git tool with the credentials, it is using the same. So whatever the credentials that you created here, whatever the credentials under edit profile, under this, it will be same for, it will be same for, suppose if you have 100 or 150 repositories like this, it will be the same credentials for all. Getting my point? If there are 1,000 repositories also in this platform, similarly like this, when once you create your SSH key, this will be same for all 100 repositories. Clear? So similarly, it will be authenticated with the credentials that we created, and it get pulled with a library. Okay. Now let's go to the next log. Here, cloning the repository means it will clone under this path. as a shared library, and with this also shared library.git, and again revision of the repository, branch of the repository of the library, and checking out, and it is configured with the library now. Okay, and also our second block is the agent block. It is running on the label. It is running on the particular agent that we defined in our label, and the for a very first function is building an application, correct? If you go to the library here, share library. Okay, what I will do, I will click on configure and I will show the Jenkins file. Okay, the agent block is done, and the timestamp. Are we getting the timestamp here? Yes, we are getting a timestamp. Now, what is our very first stage? Very first stage is build apps, correct? It it looks for this very first stage looks for build app is from where? Build app is from the shared library, right? So build app is the name. If you go inside, the function that I have called here is building an application, correct? So it look for the build app dot groovy and prints a message. Are we getting this building an application? Building application.
Yes, sir.
This is directly called from the library, this
Yes.
shared library, correct? Similarly, for deploying an application to dev environment. Okay. So what is our Jenkins file? The second stage will be doing deploy app with deploy environment, right? Deploy app is here. It looks for this library and this function and calls deploying an application to dollar environment. The environment here also we defined as environment dev, and also in the Jenkins file. Remember that deploy dev. Suppose you can override this with the Jenkins environment. Okay, but in the library we have dev. We can override this in Jenkins file to deploy it into prod. We can override it in the Jenkins file. Getting my point? And the output that we are getting here is deploying application to dev environment, correct? This is printing from the library. Deploying application to the dollar environment means dev environment. Suppose if you override with this your Jenkins file here, it will print a message deploying an application to the prod environment. Clear? Now, what is our third stage? The third stage is to print an hello. The issue with this, right? The issue is here. Let's troubleshoot. What is the issue? What is the error? Okay, let's see what the log saying. No such property Linux for class.groovy. Okay, so it is unable to pull the library because what we have in the library, the library will be
World.
having world, right? Let's modify it. Okay, okay, let's click save. Let's rerun it. Click on build now. Let's see. It should be created with the second uh, pipeline. Again, it is failed. Pipeline failed.
So, Sandeep, I think we have to pass string.
We need to pass a string, but instead of that, we can directly call. Give me a moment. We can directly call this in the. Just a minute. Let's fix this. Shared library of. Okay, let's print let's print this way. In the function there might be missing with the quotes. Okay, because it is an empty, right? Let's put a quotes. Okay, let's keep Linux only. Why to let's override the library string. The library string will be having word, right? And I wanted to print this Linux only. Let's see how it works. Click on run. I think now it is succeed. No need to pass a string. Okay, I think there is an issue with the string defining a string, right? Now we are able to print this. We can override sometimes. Suppose if you are not able to uh, print this with a different name or different environment, we can override the library as well. Are we getting? Are we getting the output now?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Also, we are getting the post build actions here. Pipeline completed successfully. So from where we are getting this from post build actions only, correct? And you got the difference between the post build actions when the pipeline failed. If the pipeline failed, it will reflect as pipeline failed. If the pipeline success, it will show as pipeline completed successfully, right? We go here. Latest build will be this, and go to console output. And are we getting this pipeline completed successfully? This will be printing with this post build actions. This function only works in Jenkins, that too with the Groovy. Clear? Clear for everybody?
Yes, sir.
Understood about the shared libraries, calling that library, and uh, the maintainability of the shared library, and we can override the values from the libraries if required only. Okay. And about the post build actions, any questions and any doubts? Anybody has any questions here?
No, sir.
Okay, so that's it for today's session. Let's wind up the session. Let's connect tomorrow for a webhook configuration. Let's see how the webhook works. And as I told, SonarCube and the JFrog Artifactory, it is not allowed to create an account. Okay, so we have a setup in our project. We will show that only. No worries on that. Okay, so that we are covering everything. And the shared library. After this shared library, we gonna discuss about the webhook tomorrow. So once that complete, Jenkins will be done. Okay, the complete tool package will be covered. Okay, and let's have a mock on Saturday. Let's filter the candidates. Okay, any questions and any doubts on this? Anybody has any doubts?
No, sir.
Okay, if no questions, let's wind up the session. I will share this in the group. Create your own Groovy script. Okay, so what you do now, you go here, go to your root path, create a shared library, and inside that create a folder called var, because it should be in this structured only. Create a folder called vars. Inside that vars, you can create 10 .groovy files. Anything, build app, deploy app, print and hello, and then to print a string, whatever the groovy that you are available, that you can get it. You can print, create 10 files, and you can create 10 stages. Can you guys do this similarly? To print the string, you can use this between the string. Okay, to call that function, you can use this This function is based on your file name. Okay, whatever the file name that you use here in the shared library, you can use it in the pipeline script. But make sure that you are calling a right library. And before calling it in the library, you need to configure it in the where library where we
Under
need to,
system.
yes, under system we need to configure type library. Just type library. Okay, so here you can see global trusted pipeline libraries. Give the library name, provide the branch, and select modern SCM. Okay, retrieve method, select modern SCM, select Git here under source code management, provide the shared library URL and provide the credentials. Once you create the credentials for GitLab, it will be same for all repository, for all repository. Yes, and click save. That's it. Again, soon after configuring it, you can come here and you can point a label, you can point an options with timestamp and define environment. You can configure stages for build, deploy, test, whatever that you defined in your library, you can configure it in Jenkins file. Clear? Can you guys do this? ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗಿದೆಲ್ಲ ಅಸೈನ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರೋದು?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I want this to be worked on from everybody. Okay, I will share this in the group. Let's copy it. Okay, I will share this in the group with the definition. Go through that, and also for the assignment as well. Okay, clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's connect evening for Q&A, and tomorrow session say 7 o'clock. Okay, thank you. Bye bye.